Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to another episode of 8 Ounces of Inspiration. And today I have a pot full of inspiration with me. I have Usha Varia joining us from London. Usha started Samoolam at a very young age in her 20s. It is a not-for-profit organization with a purpose and mission to generate livelihood for economically deprived rural women in Gaya, her own hometown, and also the land of the Buddha. The idea was to create everyday accessories using the one needle yarn knitting art of crochet. The designs are mostly inspired by nature, and you see a lot of the flora and fauna and absolutely beautiful parts of nature in her designs. Usha herself went to the most esteemed, hard to get admission into National Institute of Design in Ahmedabad and graduated in textile designing. And she did her master's in international development and social change from Clark's University after she received an international fellowship from Ford Foundation. She is a social change maker. She has a very strong cause close to her heart to empower women in her own neighborhood and community so they can have a financially independent life. Women empowerment has been a key to Samoolam's foundation, and so far she has empowered hundreds of women in Gaya, and they have found a purpose in life and a source of self-confidence through the work that Usha has given them. They have found dignity in that work, and as well as they have been able to creatively purpose their lives around this work. So, a very warm welcome to you, Usha. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Nidhi.
I know you have a 2-year-old and he wasn't feeling too well. So, I'm really, really grateful to you that you managed to create an ecosystem for him to be taken care of in the next half an hour and be with us today to inspire everyone who's going to hear you about your journey with Samoolam. So, welcome. My first question to you is, we start right away. When did you start Samoolam? Was it straight out of college or did you work elsewhere? And how did the idea come
about? So Samoolam seed was actually sown in the year of 2011. So basically, when I finished my graduation from NIT Ahmedabad, and I started working in craft sector, quite like what actually passionate I was is working on a grassroots. And I enjoyed working with communities and within their local scenarios and helping them and creating new product lines so that they can have a better reach and access to the market and better livelihood. And that's what have been driving me those years after my graduation. And then I realized that social sector was something where my heart lies. And so I received a fellowship from Ford Foundation, and I actually chose a program of international development and community and environment, and specializing in social change. So I went to Massachusetts in 2006 to 2008 to pursue my master's. And when I came back, that's when I actually decided that I want to, I took a year of, coming back to India after my higher studies and really trying to put my foot down and understand what exactly have changed or need at the grassroots level, and what I can do, considering having a creative background and have a development background. So that's when I realized that there is a need of starting an organization like Samoolam, which is more like for me, it was a model, it was a message for every youth or anyone, any common man who always want to do something good and nice and also have a income, for themselves. So something do good, do well in that kind of theme, starting from grassroots, checking what kind of resources I have in hand. Either it could be educational background or professional experience, and how can I give back to my community? Because I very strongly feel country like India, where so much talent lies everywhere, and everyone is always asking a question, how can I do something good for the society? I think everybody has that power of doing it. It's just that you need the right way of thinking and channel. So giving back to the roots is the core idea behind Samoolam. And I come from Gaya, Bihar, and I've seen the lives of girls and women in Bihar, and having this kind of privilege and opportunity to study in the best college in the country, like National Institute of Design, and getting a fellowship and studying in America, I thought probably I should do my contribution, or my giving back to my community in whatever possible. Either could be a small way of empowering them socially, economically. So that's how Samoolam was born, and the idea was born, and the initiative was taken.
That's wonderful, Usha. I mean, at such a young age, you had such a large, purposeful idea and a motive, which is so hard to see and see these days. So, what does Samoolam mean? How did you come up with the name?
Samoolam means giving back to roots.
Wow.
And it's a collective roots. So like mool is roots in Hindi, and in Sanskrit Samool is like all collective roots. So I believe that charity comes from home, as many of something good and well. Idea with my who said, okay, go ahead, it's we are there, whatever support you need from us, we can help you. So Samoolam means collective roots and strengthening your roots.
Wow, that's amazing. So, in this journey, right, and it's almost been what, 15 years that you've been running this, or a little bit less. Um, any challenges in particular that you face, especially at such a young age you started it? So, anything particular you feel that, my God, that was really tough? Of course, you've overcome those challenges, or you may overcome. Share some of those with us.
When you start an organization, it's like having a baby. You have to conceive the idea, you have to make a plan, you have to also see the future where you want to take the organization ahead, right? So I didn't really have much resources, because I had just come back from a college life to back to the professional life, and here I was like, wanting to start something. Um, and that's also an entity, and that's also a craft-based entity where you need to do manufacturing, you need to train people, you need skill, you need resources, you need place, you need material, and you don't have much money to have you in your own. Prior to starting Samoolam, I have worked in a non-profit sector for like 6-7 years, and I really had experience that how a charity segment, that non-profit sector, so much dependent on the funding and and grants. So that attitude of people working in a non-profit sector, a public sector, when you receive funding, then it's not the same kind of energy, because the moment funding starts going low and low and low, and you're reaching towards the end of the project, the motivation level goes down, and then there is an anxiety. What is the next project? Or is this going to come? Am I going to lose the job? Is the project going to finish? Then where the money is going to come? So I had experienced that kind of work culture in my past. So when it turned out to be Samoolam, I was like, let me start an organization which is self-reliant. It could be a very small organization. It does not have to, I'm not going to say that I wanted to make a change in 1,000 women's life, but if I make a change in, let's say, 20 women's life, that itself will be something I'm contributing towards my community. Any kind of support or work or charity is a work. Its scale could be different. So I, as an individual, I thought, let me start something small. I'll start with 3 or 5 women and see how it goes. So initial biggest hurdles, I didn't have resources, I didn't have money, I didn't have like really in terms of my own infrastructure where I'm going to start. So I was limited with that. But what I did is that I used to work part-time. I had to work as a consultant few weeks in a month, and I used to earn money from there. And I used to put that income of mine into building an organization. And that I did for almost like all throughout my professional life. Even I'm right now also in the same phase. It's just that I have family responsibility, which is additional to that. But yes, if you want to keep your passion alive, you have to bring in your resources. So financial hurdle was the big one.
Yeah.
So if you don't have finances, you cannot hire human resource because everyone comes at the cost. So I was doing multitasking. I was the designer, if it's the accountant, you are the production in charge, you are the trainer, But I won't say that it was all done by me. A lot of people and well-wishers and the family and friends, they came over. They volunteered and they extended their help at the different time and capacity, which really helped me taking the next step further.
So I want to ask you this. So a lot of the artists, because I'm in the entrepreneurship ecosystem, I'm a coach before, and when I work with a lot of the crafts-based sector, entrepreneurs, one of the things I see as a very common, like a common pattern between them, they are creative people, right? You guys are creative people, you're an artist. So the sense of running an organization is much harder. So it's something like you have to acquire, and that seems like a tedious job for them, because every time I tell them you have to look into the marketing of this, because that's the most important thing. That's where the money will come from. Like, oh my God, I can't do marketing. I can do design. You ask me to make the products, I'll make it. Marketing, the PR, I don't want to go and be a spokesperson. I don't want my face everywhere. So did you find that challenge too? Like, that you felt that,
oh yes,
run the business as long as I'm just doing what I love to do, create.
Yes.
Yeah. And
yes, that's you.
You are the youngest, is it, of the many brothers?
Yes.
Yeah. So so was there a lot of guidance, or was there a lot of too much of advice coming from, because everyone tends to be very protective about the younger ones? How did it work in terms of dynamics between the siblings and parents, especially with you starting something of your own in the social sector?
Okay, that's a good point. Before I answer that, I forgot to point out that the Samoolam, actually, one of the idea about Samoolam is that I wanted to engage my mother. She is no more now, and she passed away 2 years back. She was very creative, and as you said, in my family, we have 6 sisters and 1 brother, and I'm youngest sibling in the whole line. So there is a lot of love and affection which I have received and support from my family. And I would say that yes, I have been a most loved ones, being the youngest. And last one to leave the house, because how in Bihar we didn't really have much of academic opportunity. So all my sisters and siblings, one after another, started going out to study, out of Bihar. But in terms of, I was the last one who were left the house. And when I was leaving, my mother was literally, that I will be all alone. And And in that process, what happened, and I think many of us in India, we feel that when the kids leave, the parents go alone. And then a lot of these mental issues problem starts getting into, because they are old and isolated, alone, living in, back home. And that was one of the reason I wanted to start back and giving back and engaging my old parents, having that house which was full of so many kids and daughters and sons playing around. Then suddenly it's an empty building with two old couple living. So I thought, while they are here, and why can't I start an activity where she can plug in? And I must admit that I am not expert in crochet. The technique of crochet is inspired from my mother, because she used to keep sitting and keep crocheting. And I used to say कि माँ, if you can do so well crochet, like कि हाँ, अगर मेरे बाप बाप ने भी मुझे पढ़ाया होता ना, तो मैं भी तुम लोग के जैसा आगे निकल चुकी होती. And that she used to keep telling me every time when she used to get angry. It's like कि हाँ, मेरे माँ बाप ने तो पढ़ाया नहीं, अगर पढ़ाया होता तो मैं भी यहाँ बैठे ऐसे अपना मतलब now I have nothing, everybody, all of you have left me. So that's the idea. I just plugged it. It's like jigsaw puzzle. There was a need, something for women and girls. Here was a master trainer. I saw my mother as an artist. I saw her as a creator. I saw her as a trainer. I said, you train. These are the needy people. You train. I can design, because that's my background, and I'll find a market. So why don't we just plug in this A, B, C, D together and make a picture out of it, and we'll see if something works out. You need money. I will do part-time work, get some money and put that, and then try and, So it's actually like a jigsaw puzzle, finding out the different bits and pieces and resources, plugging in. And it really helped, because my mother was going through a mental health issues. And when she got into this, training the women into crochet, developing something new, she found it, there's a purpose in her life. She started enjoying it. She became happier. Women started becoming happy. So yes, the support system came from my own parents. My mother became trainer. My father said, okay, we have such a big house, it's all empty, none of you live here, why don't these ladies come and you train them here? You use this room, you use that room. So I did not have to rent anything. So it's like, all those small bit of contribution came a big way. So I used to travel in Uttarakhand, in Delhi, in Ahmedabad. I used to come to Bihar like every 2-3 weeks, bring material from here and there, and like, ye dhaga hai, isse ye banao, you make this earring, you make that necklace, let's do one training, one workshop, design a collection. And then I used to pack them, take in a suitcase and travel to different parts of the country, and put up in exhibition. Wherever I used to say, take some 10-15 pieces, can you buy this? Do you think this will, sell in the market? Because 15 years back, crochet jewelry was nothing. It was not existing in India. But now there are a lot of people who started this. But when I had started this, it was quite a new kind of, product. So, coming back to your original question, that yes, being a youngest, I don't see anybody burdened me with a lot of ideas. Everybody was like standing in my back, that I'm there. You walk the path, and wherever you need help, we are there, and my sisters, my brothers, my mother, my father, now my husband, who is equally supporting me with all whatever decision I take. And he says, it's your baby, you can decide, how you want to lead it, as far as it's not kind of, if it's helping people and it's helping you. Yeah.
It's just so beautiful hearing that how you've gone in a suitcase from town to town, store to store, saying like, would you like it? Because I absolutely love your designs. And I think the perfection in the way you have trained your artisans to make is, I've seen so many products in the market, being in the sector of, entrepreneurship, and also because I personally love accessories and, I like to dress up. I don't think I've at all come across a single other brand which stands out like yours in quality. And that's why I'm wearing one of your pieces. This is one of my favorite pieces.
Thank you.
I love the color combinations. You know, it has that bright pink and then it goes subtle, so I can wear it with a lot of different colors. And it's just gorgeous. I mean, honestly, if, and I don't mean to say that somebody in a rural town couldn't make it, but if somebody saw this, right, which who didn't know that the origin was, or the artisans are in Gaya, or these could be illiterate women who've been trained, and they saw it in an exhibition in Paris, or they saw it in an exhibition elsewhere, they would just think that it's some really big, famous designer who is, you know, who creates all these kinds of pieces. It's their creation. So I think it's, you have the product, you absolutely have the gorgeous designs. I think you have everything in place. And it's about now just marrying that opportunity with the right kind of market to take it, because I personally believe it has a huge global market and that's just waiting to open its doors to you when you're ready. I believe
Yeah,
in
yeah. Thank you so much for encouraging me.
that.
Yes, it I do feel, and I think there is a lot of still there is a lot of areas and opportunities which I have not tapped as yet. And like the life of a woman, a mother, an entrepreneur. Many of the women entrepreneurs who are mothers will understand and relate to it. We are like busy macro and micro managing. We are like the queen of multitasking. Our brain never sleeps, our body never rests, our hands never stops. And if you are a creative from with hand, and you are an entrepreneur from a brain, then you can just understand how. So at times I just go zzz. So it's like so much energy is just oozing out, and then you're like, where to start from?
Yeah.
So it's there is a lot of areas which I think Samoolam has not really gone into, and I purposely have. To be honest, I realized that in that race of building an organization and building a business, it's a very fine line. One has to be a bit careful where you, because the work and life balance is very important. And especially in post pandemic, we all have realized that the value of what it means to giving time to self and to your family. Because at times when I was so busy in the race, that I was just busy, I was like flowing with the race, because we don't really realize that, oh, this is, wait, I don't have time for myself.
Yeah.
I don't have time for, right now I'm in a stage that my brain is always thinking, Samoolam, my child is playing in front of me. Then I'm like, wait, I need to just switch off and enjoy that time, because he will grow in 2-3 years. He is not going to be the same. So it's also, uh, I am actually in this phase of introspection, that it's very important for any entrepreneurs, for women entrepreneurs and mothers, and even more, because there is you, and you as a woman, you as a mother, you as an entrepreneur, you as an individual also have to look at where you want to, where are you heading. So there are phases when I'm slowing down a little bit, then I'm picking up the speed, depending on what phase in life you are in. So yes, there is a lot of areas which still Samoolam has to enter, which has not we have gone into. Yeah.
How is, now that you've moved to London, right? How easy or tough is it to manage your operations with a separate, different time zone between Gaya and London? How different is
It has been a challenge, of course, because first of all, managing an organization from a distance, and then also if it's a different time zone, it is not easy. You have to rely a lot on your people whom you have, appointed, or people who are associated with you an organization label. But to be honest, one has to be very, very careful. Sometimes just being very flexible and just trusting people very easily can fire back, on you. So in you can give flexibility and to individuals, to your teammates, but but always in a limited capacity, because that's something which I'm facing right now, has been a bit challenge, have gone through a kind of bitter phase, and one has to be a bit more thoughtful. And I've just recently realized that you can't just blindly trust people, on the face. You need to be just making things a little more careful, and decision has to be made on more carefully. So, but my team in Gaya and the women artisans whom we have been training for last 1 decade or plus, they have been the most loyal, because this whole organization is for them. If we are not making profit, they are standing with us, that it's okay. If you can't pay us in the same amount, pay us little, but we are still okay with that. But even if you can pay us better, then pay us better. We try and give them, as better pay and the wages which we could, in terms of how, like, everybody, the whole globe has seen the worst phase of the business during this pandemic. So, but they are standing with us in thick and thin, understanding the situation and not really kind of just taking advantage of us. Secondly is there, the team who are managing the women artisan, we try and hire and uh, train the staff. These are the women leaders. So initially they used to be the artisans themselves, but now because they have a leadership skill, so we keep assessing that within our groups, and like, oh, this woman is really, she is like, have a leadership skill, she can take responsibility, she can involve in production, or she can involve in quality checks. So we appoint them, we give them a next platform. So it's their organization.
Yeah.
It's not like my organization, I'm doing it to earn money and fill my pocket. They know if they are going to perform better, this organization is going to live longer, and it is going to sustain their livelihood. So I feel happy and glad that they understand the core philosophy, and they have a same belief in that as I wished and I dreamt. So yeah, it's a nice, lovely to work with them.
So I'm going to come to my last question. Time has just passed talking to you, and I have still
Yeah.
have 3 questions, Usha. But just in the because we have some time constraint, I want to ask you: is there any particular book that you've read in your life that has just stayed close to your heart and you've absolutely loved it? I always like to give some, food for thought for our audience, that a lot of people love to read. So when they hear from somebody that, oh my god, you must read this, they usually make a note and say, okay, next I'm going to read this. And it's always good to read some good, inspiring, or good books that can add value to your life, among the sea of books that are out there. So any book like this that you can tell us?
I have I'm a more of a person who are into spiritual practices, and I follow my intuition very, very strong. So I have been reading quite a lot of books of Dr. Brian Weiss, and he is like, who my curiosity is always about, who am I? What was I doing in my previous life, and where I'm going to head, and why am I doing this? I keep asking this question, why and who, and so I have been reading a lot of his books, like Many Masters, Many Lives, and it's not directly linked with what I am doing in terms of I I kind of follow a couple of pages. Abdul Kalam Azad is my biggest inspiration. I keep reading his book, and Wings on the Fire, and and he and Ratan Tata, it like when I read, I wouldn't say that I've been reading for the last 2 years, to be honest. I didn't really have much time to read books, but when I follow their pages and I come across and I read about their life and their journey and the different messages which they have been leaving for, the current generation, especially Abdul Kalam Azad, considering that where he has come from and how her whole persona, that simplicity which he had, the way he communicated and the way he give the message to youth about just going ahead, just be honest to yourself, simple and nice, and keep walking the path. Never quit regardless of anything. Never quit, just keep going. So uh in this whole phases I have been experiencing, because when I moved here, my life completely changed. Like the Usha Prajapati in India, when she came after marriage here, the life of a very independent woman traveling all around the country, like 20 days in a month, and suddenly you are a mother of a child, and then lockdown and 3 years you have not gone out anywhere. I'm like, what am I doing? What has happened? But then I have to say that this is to the whole world. It's not only limited to me, that everybody is facing that. So he has been one of my biggest inspiration. And Dr. Brian Weiss books, he has all the series of books, and I cannot recall all the names, but I started with Many Masters, Many Lives, Love is Real. For me to connect with my work, I have to connect with myself. Simple philosophy: if I want to spread happiness and positivity and good social impact on ground, I need to be happy. Because if I am not happy, and in the happiness does not comes with the money, the happiness comes with the satisfaction. It's a state of mind that whatever I am doing, I feel good. End of the day, I might not be earning a lot of money, but it's just I feel good that because of my little bit of work or initiative, it's helping
Somebody
30-40 women's life. There are households running from this organization. So I don't want to, I know I have been taking longer to answer your questions.
No, not at
To
all.
be specific. But for me, end of the day, what I want to share is, for me, Samoolam is not an entity. It's not an organization. It's not about a craft venture only. It's more about a message to anyone, everyone in the country or anywhere, is that you have the power to make change. If you want to start something, you want to do good, you want to do well, you just have some idea, just check your resources, your basket, bring them on, go for it. Worst case is you might fail, but you will learn something. Start again. And if you are able to help 10 lives, and that ripple effect, because it's all about the ripple effect, that's what I want to create. If you can create a ripple, other person get inspired from my story, state another ripple effect, help 10 other people, that another 10 people help 10 other people, I think
The
the
word.
country like India will change. A
Absolutely.
world will change. So this is just a simple belief, and I'm not claiming that I'm going to make change in like 1,000 people's life in this life, but if I'm helping 100, I think I'm happy with that, and I want to have a long-term impact in
The
that.
ripple effect, thousands will be covered. That's what it. You
Yeah.
start with 100, and then they carry on your message and they carry on your legacy and their children and once you empower one, you empower many. It starts with one. Well, on that note, Usha, I want to say really, I'm so grateful to you for being on our podcast and for sharing your journey. It's such it's been so inspirational for me personally, and now, and also because I personally love your product so much. All of it, the earrings, the head clips, all of that. I've made my daughter wear your head clips. The brand is doing really well. The work you're doing is so purposeful that I know it's going to go to amazing milestones across the world with the message that you have for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Nidhi. Thank you so much for having me, and it's really it was a pleasure.
Thank you.